And I think what I annoys at this point. I think my weekend was first a couple things that happened. Just an
Hey James, it's Sean.
What's happening?
Not a lot. You got a few minutes to listen?
Yep.
Alright, cool. Give me a second. I'm going to go outside. Give people in here some privacy. I'm sure nobody wants to hear about any of this stuff.
Yeah. Never know who's listening either, you know.
Right. Sorry, I was eating a chunk of bread. I'm done munching though. Alright, let me grab that and grab my ID. I got a bunch of videos I'm going to send you, a bunch of them full of evidence. But I need you to know what roadblocks I have and why they're there. Those are extremely important. Most people don't ever get that far. They just tell me all their roadblocks. It's usually, I'm sorry, Sean, it was a rough day at work today, and I don't have time to do it. Give me a second. Anyway, one of them is called, it's with Nick and Sarah Bacon, and it's about a lot of the people that, I said that people were threatening to kill me and my friends and family and anybody who tried to help me, and that the cops were intimidating the people who were trying to help me or offering to help me. And I also said that the things that they're trying to pretend I did, like making a bunch of fake accounts, I made a grand total of 2. I made one to beg for her to get the dogs to knock off their shit. I made the other one so I could destroy my main account so that when I killed myself, nobody would hurt Natalie and Alicia. Well, in specific.
You had your reasons. You know, I understand that. That's me, you know.
Yeah. Well, Joanna Taylor Smith said that she would make their life a living hell if I killed myself, so I had to make sure Natalie and Alicia and Maddie Boa were all safe, you know.
Yeah.
And, anyway, Sarah Bacon is one of probably close to 100 people that let me know that their friends and family were threatened for speaking up on Facebook or YouTube.
Yeah.
And also there's a group that I'm going to invite you to. I run it now, but it was started by a woman named Katie Cahill. And I have some recordings with her. I have so much recorded. Most of what I have recorded is on audio recording devices, and it takes so long to get it converted over onto the computer and turned into an actual video. And it took me forever to find out how to do that. I literally have thousands of videos I have to go through, and I have literally thousands of audio files that I have, probably 2,000 to 3,000. I'm just kidding. There's more than that.
Wow.
Yeah, I probably got 700 hours easily recorded with Wendell McPhee. Alright, so the issues that I had. I had a lot of people that were helping me to get to Virginia. I was going to Virginia. Alright, let me start at the very beginning. This will be the easiest way to do it. Natalie was 14 years old. She hung out with people down there at Pearl Street. You know how them kids just won't go the fuck away?
Yeah.
And I was one of those assholes who always tried to run them off.
Yeah.
I was nicer about it than most, but I was definitely not actually nice, you know?
Sure. Yeah.
She thought I was funny. Well, that's because I was sitting with my adult friends making adult jokes. But anyway,
It's hard to tell, Sean, when we're in the streets how old a child is. 'Cause you don't years old to be on the fucking streets. Most of the time when that happened to me, I'd be like, dude, what are you, 19? And the person would be like, no, I'm 14. I'm like, what the fuck?
Well, she was out there selling drugs for her dad. I didn't find that out till later, but that's because I wasn't interested in talking to her or hanging out with her. She was a fucking child.
Sure.
I knew she was a child. She was definitely too young to be hanging out. And, you know, the same thing with Maddie Boa. And if it wasn't for Officer Ramos, you know, I never would have stopped being as mean as I was to them. But he said they've got as much of a right to be here as you do. I'm like,
absolutely. It's just hard when it's under false impression. You know, again, you see someone in the street, you don't expect them to be a 14-year-old selling drugs for their dad. You know,
right.
You feel bad for them that maybe they were kicked out, or it just doesn't, you know,
Well, this is one of the things, a lot of people, when I'm trying to tell them what's going on, they want to reinforce it with a lot of their own experiences and stories. And that does eat up a lot of time, which is, you know, not intentionally hurtful, but it does end up being kind of that way, if you know what I'm saying.
Yeah.
So I'm going to explain the whole situation with going to Virginia real quick. Natalie was in an abusive relationship with a guy named Tim Beeson. Her dad was molesting her and beating on her and her sister and all that. The last time that I'd seen her, she was 14 years old. I told her she needed to get the hell out of there. She was 14 and she was with a guy named Emery in a sleeping bag, and her sister Alicia was in a sleeping bag with Arturo.
I remember that.
Yeah, well, each one of them was in a sleeping bag with those guys, and I ran them off, and I told those girls that they needed to go home and not come back, and then I didn't see them for years. Anyway, I gotta come back into the Starbucks. I forgot my lighter like an idiot.
I absolutely remember when I got there, that kid Emery got run off.
Yeah, well...
Right when I first got there.
Well, he's messed up more than once on that thing, him and Arturo both. But the messages that I'm going to try sending you, I don't know how much room you got on your phone. I've had to pay people to tell the truth. I've had to buy people computers so they can help me. And then once they had the computer, it was basically, all right, Sean, I can't really help you. I need to use this computer you bought me so that I can do my own stuff and the stuff for my daughter. And I'm like, fuck, this sucks. And that's Mandy Singer. But here's the thing about Mandy Singer. I understand the situation she's in. She didn't do it to be predatory. It just ended up being that way. You know, she had a lot of shit that all came down and hit her at once, but she needed to speak up about it, just like everybody. When these situations happen with me, if they don't speak up, I get treated like I'm a liar, and they try pretending that I'm a schizophrenic, fucking delusional motherfucker. Anyway, Natalie thought she was in love with me, and I'll send you the... Well, I already tagged you in those.
I read them. Oh, yeah.
So that's the thing. Like, Natalie thought she was in love with me. She was infatuated with me. It was not me not being able to take no for an answer. It was her and her sister not taking no for an answer. It was Maddie Boa not taking no for an answer. You know, people say, hey, Sean, you need to learn to respect people's boundaries. I'm like, no, the fuck I don't. People need to learn to respect mine. I was respecting everyone's boundaries. I drove 1,700 miles there because she was going to kill herself if I didn't. I drove 1,700 miles to get the fuck away from her and her sister.
I saw that.
You know, did you see the one about my birthday? All those ones, October 18th, that's my birthday. That's the last time I saw Natalie Bollinger, October 18th, 2016. That's how long this shit has been going on. Yeah, and she was killed December 29th of 2017. That was after an entire year of me literally begging people to fucking kill me. Now, I have the hospital stuff that shows that, or the stuff from my licensed mental health lady. She is licensed to diagnose schizophrenia. She didn't diagnose me with schizophrenia. Now the problem is, when you have to travel to somewhere new, then you're trying to turn in cops who are fucking with you and giving you hell. This is all over the Assault by Whale and Lolatai, by the way. I'll send you some more information on that. Anyway, let me get back to the Virginia trip. Just before Natalie turned 18, her and her sister saw me. They were two older gentlemen, and they ran over and gave me a hug and gave me the, well, they actually wrote their names down so I could hit them up on Facebook. I think they put their numbers on there too, but I didn't call them. I sent each of them a message, and then I fucking forgot about them, you know? So, about 8 months later, she messaged me back. She let me know thought she was all in love with me and all this other fucking crazy shit. By that point, I'd fucked up my back. It was really screwed up. I had a machine shop just outside of Boulder, and the people who were living there and staying there were stealing my shit. It was fucking horrible. Anyway, Natalie rescued me. I was going to take some Vicodin I got from DJ Wow. I thought I had enough of them to kill myself, and I went into the bathroom, or was on my way to the bathroom when Natalie walked in and fucking saved my life. And her and Maddie Boa were actual real friends at that point. I never had a real friend, James. People tell me all sorts of shit, but when it comes to turning in predators, as somebody who's called mentally ill, that's literally the only way to do it. When I go somewhere like Hood River or the Dalles, the police work closely with the DHS and these other agencies. They're friends with each other. They go to the same fucking churches, for Christ's sake. These are small towns. So the thing is, I'm having to deal with a severe conflict of interest, but importantly, I'm saving the evidence of what's happening. Like, I was poisoned in Hood River not 4 months ago, I think. Yeah, I'll send you some evidence on that too. It's fucking nuts. I went to the hospital over it, and sure enough. Yep. Anyway, Natalie was super suicidal, obviously. When her and I became friends, she said that I was the only thing keeping her in Colorado. And I left Colorado. I was going to be back in 2 weeks, but I needed to earn a car. I got the car from David and Laura Nelson, and they helped me to plan the trip to go to Virginia too, by the way. Anyway, I'd been gone too long, so she left for Virginia, even though she didn't think it'd be good for her. And she made me promise to go see her if she went to Virginia. And me and Maddie Boa and Natalie and her twin sister Alicia planned the trip. There were several occasions where we had arranged to meet up and they didn't make it, so that wasn't my fault or my choice. I had a heart issue that was going on, and I was staying with a lady named Candace Bondurant in Chapel. Well, Candace kicked me out. She claimed it's because her ex didn't want any other men around her kids, and then she told me later on, when I was in Virginia, that it was because I'd quit my job at Subway. I didn't quit my job at Subway. I lost my job at Subway because the doctors at the hospital there told me that I needed to not go to work and that I needed to come in and do a stress test. They were going to put some radiation stuff in me and then run me through this machine, and sure enough, they did. Anyway, throughout all of this, all of my predators have used the term mentally ill to continually pretend that everything that I say is a lie. The fact that I have so much evidence that it's not a lie is really important, especially in these web sleuth groups, because if you can see the evidence, then you can speak out about it.
When they say that, Sean, I think it's just because they want to have an excuse not to help you almost. You know what I mean? Oh, he's just mentally ill. Now I don't need to, you know.
Well, they use it as, what it is divide and conquer. You gaslight somebody and get all their anybody who might possibly support them to think that there's some sort of evil person or crazy person. You make the insinuation, but the cops literally broke the law. The cops tried, they were able to railroad me in all of my court dates. They prevented me from going, prevented me from showing evidence, denied every single one of my rights because I always had to go alone. When I did get somebody to go with me, they were ill-informed or not informed at all due to their own laziness, stupidity, or drug use. And it has been a very major issue. I've had to go to pretty much just homeless people for help. And most of them out here in Oregon are on drugs. I can't go to a hospital here without getting treated like I'm a fucking junkie. Anyway, let me get back to the Virginia trip. Natalie, I was like 3 months late, and Natalie got a hold of me one night and said she was going to kill herself if I wasn't already on the road. I told her I didn't have the money to go. Well, she tried to kill herself within a couple hours of that. Ran her car right into a telephone pole and busted her leg up. Anyway, I kept my word and I went there and I planned the trip with I was going to go visit a lot of people at first. But then I went back and rescued Jamie, and that got really fucking expensive. Anyway, when I spent all of that money, my back was fucked up. I couldn't take care of myself. And I went to Virginia at their request. Didn't want anybody to kill themselves. We did everything that they wanted me to do. And you can see in those messages that that's the truth. And there's a lot more messages too. Like, there's so much evidence. The problem is that there is so much evidence. I've got it on a bunch of USB drives, a bunch of telephones. Half of them are broken. I've been assaulted repeatedly, and the law enforcement that I'm repeatedly forced to go to is law enforcement that they know I'm trying to turn in. That goes from Hood River to the Dalles and now here in Tillamook. Their conduct has been highly inappropriate, and I'm having meltdowns from it, and all the services here fucking suck. Without somebody going in person and being informed and showing them, hey, this is actually going on, they don't try to understand. Now, with me being assaulted by Waylon Lolotai, that's all important shit. But here's the thing. In Virginia, everything was great. When we went to Virginia Beach, that was at Natalie and Alicia's request. Alicia drove. When we went to the Pagoda, Natalie and Alicia, that was at their request. Alicia drove. When I went and stayed behind the Cricket store, it was because Alicia Bollinger asked me to, and almost every day Alicia Bollinger invited me out to every single cigarette break and every single time that she had lunch. Now, here's the thing, is that Natalie thought she was in love with me. She was still typing that she's infatuated with me thing, and all of this, that, and the other while I'm there. And Alicia is the one who's getting to spend all of the time with me. And I don't know if she's flirting with me or macking on me or what. You know, I'm fucking stupid when it comes to that shit. But, you know, there was a few times that Natalie was going to come see me and she didn't because there was stuff going on with her sister. Now, we went out on my birthday to Elliot's Coffee Grounds in Norfolk, and that was the last time I saw Natalie. And while we were there, she told me that her and her sister were fighting over a boy. I hope I wasn't that boy, you know. I mean, I'm an old fucker, you know. I wasn't there to be her fucking penis. I was there to be her friend. Now, I got a phone, and that phone was Natalie's old broken phone. And Natalie was using a broken phone. And the reason she was using the broken phone that she had is because the broken phone that her sister gave me for my birthday was too broken to work. But Natalie didn't bother telling her sister that. Instead, I had to try to make that thing work for days and days while severely dehydrated. Anyway, I ended up going to the hospital. The reason for this is because I was... Alright, Alicia had been typing some mean shit at me. I don't know what it was about. But anyway, I was going to explain it to Natalie. She was going to listen to me on the Monday that was coming up, but I was severely dehydrated. And Alicia was being super mean, and it was fucking horrible. And I drove there to explain explained to her what was going on and show her what was going on with the phone. But when I got there, my fucking car broke down. It's a pre-existing issue that David and Laura Nelson already knew about. I didn't. Anyway, I got stuck in the road, and fucking traffic barely missed me, and so I honked my horn until somebody showed up to help. Now, the thing is that it wasn't any sort of harmful thing where I was trying to kill anybody or threatening anybody. And I was taken to the hospital. The cops broke my vehicle while I was in the hospital, even further. I tried to turn that in when I got out of the hospital. I also messaged Natalie to let her know, hey, you know, I understand if you guys are scared, I'll just leave and never talk to you again. So Natalie called me up on Alicia's phone, so it might have been Alicia. Said, hey, Sean, I love you, but my family's scared of you, so don't contact him again. So I fucking blocked them all. You know, I was done with it. But then I got back to Boulder, and, you know, Natalie and Alicia, Natalie had claimed that I stalked her to Virginia, which is an outright lie. So then Alicia told Maddie Boa that I threatened to kill her family, which is an outright lie. And then it just got fucking worse from there. It went from, hey, I heard that you stalked some girl in Virginia, to I heard you raped some girl in Virginia, to I heard you raped some little girl in Virginia. Like, holy fuck, what the hell? And meanwhile, I'm being told by everybody, while I'm being assaulted over this shit, I'm being told I need to go to mental health, mental health, mental health. Or they go, hey, why don't you just go to the cops? I went to the cops. They blew me off. I'm fucking homeless. These people keep calling me up and threatening to kill my friends and family. And they knew who my friends and family were. They'd been stalking my goddamn Facebook. So when they're calling me and telling me, hey, this is Natalie's boyfriend, fucking, you need to take that shit down off the internet, or, like, Jesus fuck.
Sounds like Steinman.
It does sound like Steinman.
Yeah, he's crazy, bro.
Well, it wasn't Steinman that was doing it, but Steinman is definitely a horrible excuse for a human being.
She threatened to kill my son in front of another cop. That was a rookie, and I looked at the rookie cop, and I was like, yo, bro, I'm going to tell you what. And the rookie cop was like, I'm out of this. And that's when I looked at Steinman. This was when I left Boulder. And I said, listen, you son of a bitch. My son is leaving. We're going to Mexico right now. Here's my address in Mexico. You fucking leave Colorado and find me anywhere in the United States. I will fucking kill you. I was spitting on that man. He was putting his hand out like, no, James, calm down. I was like, no. You know what you did? You're just taking a picture of your fucking brother, Rabbit. Right?
Yep.
I went, hey, what the fuck? I knew I was leaving. So I finally had a breakdown, bro, and that's what I always had to treat him with fucking respect, because I knew what he was, a dirty cop. That day, I knew I was getting on a Greyhound. And I said, Steinman, you just fucking took a picture of Rabbit and poor Rabbit, bro. It was such abuse. I know your brother, he was defeated, bro. And that dude was taking pictures of him out in front of the courthouse. He was just standing there, not able to defend himself. So I said, fuck you, Steinman. And I went off, bro. And he next thing goes, you know what, this shows, if you keep this up, I will bury one of your kids. And I knew we were leaving Colorado for good. And that's when I fucking went off on
Well, here's the thing. I want to get you as familiar with what I got going on as possible.
I'm sorry, Sean, I went off, but
Yep.
I get it there, bro.
Well, that's one of the things when some of the training stuff that I'm going to be sending you, it explains how to listen. Right, yes, sir. All right, so when I went to Virginia, and that phone thing didn't go right, and it was like 4 days after my birthday. I mean, the messages that I let them know how dehydrated I was on my birthday, everybody was aware. So when I was taken to the hospital, they had claimed that I stalked them, and also claimed that I was arrested. I wasn't arrested, I was taken to the hospital. So ever since then, it's been non-stop harassment. I couldn't go to Boulder and see my friends and family. That's my support network. whenever I was threatened or harassed or had these phone calls or these fake accounts that people kept on making to threaten and harass me, you know, using my friends and family as fake accounts and saying, oh, Sean, my other account I got locked out of, you know. And then, of course, I let them on my friends list, and, you know, a lot of people did that. I've got literally hundreds of people that I've got screenshots of that admit to doing that stuff. And then there's the people that try to destroy all my evidence. I mean, they just non-stop. They try to call everything spam, especially right at the beginning. Facebook algorithms allowed them to, basically, if they called it spam, it could be destroyed. It wasn't spam, it was evidence. So I was trying to send the evidence out to people, and then these predators were calling it spam and getting it destroyed. Meanwhile, people kept on sending me messages telling me they're going to kill me and my family. I've got so many of these things, but the cops wouldn't look at it. They never do. So, let me see. Let me make sure that I've got you on Facebook, because I need to invite you to that group. It's called The Real Justice for Natalie Bollinger Group, No Drama. Anyway, after that situation, I was in Chapel, Nebraska, because being in Boulder, Colorado was just getting me assaulted. Nobody would listen to me. My back was screwed up and I couldn't take care of myself. I finally got into housing there, and got disability money. Well, that didn't stop the threats or the harassment or the intimidation. And Chapel, Nebraska just sucks. I mean, you know me, I'm very outspoken. I'll stick up for anybody who's the underdog. And there they teach everybody to hate blacks and Mexicans, and I absolutely refuse. A lot of people, their name for me in Chapel, Nebraska is still N-word lover. And they also don't like the fact that I stick up for homosexuals. You know, I'm very outspoken and not liked. I'm also not a bitch. Anyway, there was Tim Beeson, one of her ex-boyfriends, was trying to get a hold of me. He'd been messing around with her since she was 14, and he was definitely told to be with her. And, you know, that's the thing, is that when I left Virginia, you know, I had to unblock her and her sister to beg them to put a stop to it and let them know what was going on. And there's all this evidence of that, but nobody cares. I did try to get a hold of her mother and get help from her. Her mom ignored me. This is after over a year of me literally begging somebody to shoot me in the head. I offered my vehicle. I offered people all of my disability money. I offered them anything that I had for them. I even told them I'd dig my own hole. I was sick of Tim Beeson calling me up and telling me he was going to kill me. I was sick of him getting a hold of me on Facebook and typing messed up messages at me for hours at a time. Now, then there was December. I went, you know what, screw this. I'm sick of this. I'm going to 3 different therapists. I've come to Colorado because the cops in Nebraska aren't helping me. They're just doing the whole mentally ill thing. And the Tamara was helping me. She's like, once we get the developmental disability stuff taken care of, then the cops have to do something about this. It's a felony for people to harm you like that. Well, I don't need the developmental disability paperwork because autism is a developmental disability. But what they want is the paperwork. The problem is that the paperwork didn't come in. I didn't have my own mailing address at that point. When Natalie Bollinger, I was staying at Ken and Leah's on South Zunai at the time, and Miss Peaches was going to try to help me to get something done about Ken and Leah stealing all my disability money, and also something done about the situation with Natalie and her friends stalking me and making my life live in Hades. You know, I'd been assaulted on multiple occasions, 7 of them that would be considered assault by you and I, and at least a dozen other ones that would be at least legally considered assault. I know you're probably not one of those people who goes, well, if he shoves me, it's assault. For me, not so much either. It hurts me a lot more because of my back issues, but You know, there was a lot of people who were punching me, and I'm like, hey, you know, what's going on here is I'm being assaulted for things I didn't do. So I was on Facebook. I'd taken the blame for all of the stuff that went wrong, whether it was my fault or not, hoping that if I took the blame for everything, that they would leave me alone. That wasn't good enough. I still couldn't go to Colorado, still couldn't go see my friends. It was hell. Now, I was paying rent. Ken and Leah were expecting a lot more rent. Every month it would go up, and they needed more money and more money and more money, and I had moved out to the garage, which sucked. And there was a bunch of evidence in there that I was collecting because I was having to get a hold of lawyers, and they're telling me, hey, you know, you've got the mentally ill tag, so you've got to have a friend or family member to help you turn this in, or they're just going to send you to mental health. You got to record everything. And ever since then, all these people who knew me for years and years said, you're the most honest person I know, Sean. They couldn't even admit that I'd reached out to them for help. Like when I reached out to Joanna Taylor Smith for help stopping the abuse, she couldn't even call me to set up an appointment for coffee. She literally, for 4 months, couldn't call and talk to me like a human being over the phone. All she could do was type pretty white girl bullshit at me. Oh, Sean, you just need to love yourself. Oh, love and light in the universe. Oh my God, take that hippie crap and shove it up your Winnebago. Anyway, there's a lot of people who were involved in it at that point. A lot of people who were friends of mine that were harassing me over the rumors. And the thing is that, you know, it never should have turned into that. It should have been, hey, leave the guy alone. When I drove 1,700 miles to get away from them, they should have left me alone. Then when they followed me to Colorado, that's the most screwed up part. Like the stuff that, on Natalie's last post, if you read it, the stuff on there, first of all, the stuff that did happen, all happened in Virginia. But the way that she's got it typed, you know, and there's nothing there as far as the timeline or the date goes, and it's all stuff that her and her sister asked me to do. That's why I sent you those messages and the links to those messages, is so that you can see during that period of time we were friends.
Absolutely, yeah.
Do what?
You can see that, you can read it.
I can barely hear you.
Oh, yeah, my topic. You can read and see what you're saying. Absolutely, in the messages.
Here, one moment. I'm gonna have to go outside. My internet is not responding at the moment either, which is being a pain.
It's not. Probably not you, Sean. It's probably I've got the phone in my pocket, so you don't hear background noise.
Well, this is, there's one that I'm going to send you in Facebook right now, copy video URL. The whole thing's being super slow. This is Sarah Bacon in February of 2019. She's one of the people who had her friends and family threatened. She also was too drunk to actually help. And I've got multiple recordings with her. There was all these alcoholics. Let me tell you something. I didn't know so much about all of these web sleuth groups until Natalie was killed. And then I realized it's mostly women. Most of them are addicts or recovering addicts. And they like to sit down and drink too much wine while playing armchair detective and getting involved in threatening, harassing, and intimidating people when they're man-haters. It's pretty screwed up. Oh, come on now. I clicked on James Childress on here like 5 times. It's not doing nothing.
That might be because I'm in Facebook jail.
Well, that shouldn't prevent me from typing at you. Anyway, I can't hear a word you're saying.
Normally they just kick me off Facebook, but this time they were like, you have some type of restriction also. So I might not even be able to get messages. It's been really fucked up.
Well, it's taken me forever to try to get this thing downloaded so I can post it up on the internet. But the important thing is to try to fill you in on the details. when they found out that Natalie was missing, I should probably tell you about the month of October's and November's. I got a bunch of my money stolen in October and November by Ken and Leah through them lying to me. The money that I had left, the things that they were supposed to help me with because their vehicle ran and mine didn't, and they were paid extra so that they could do those things, they spent it on themselves. And then after spending it on themselves, I got treated like I was some sort of a horrible monster. So it was December of 2019 when I told all my worst sins on Facebook. Every horrible thing that I had ever done, I told on Facebook, and that is no lie. That is absolutely the truth. I can actually...
I mean, you know, in the situation, Juan, you have to know, people go and they lose it, bro, for a moment.
I know. I need you to listen, though. What I'm saying is, you know, I had been dealing with these assaults and threats for over a year by this point. Kayla Trujillo, Miss Peaches, she was going to help me to turn it in, but she hadn't been able to make the time. Well, when I went over to her house, what happened is on the 9th, I got a hold of Natalie's mom. I wasn't sure if it was her mom or not, but I explained to her that I was the autistic idiot who was honking my horn in front of her house. And it's not going to work. Alright, now it's the Chrome that's not working. God, this is so horrible. Alright, I'm gonna go outside before my...
Like that, it might not be you, it might be my computer. It's gonna be back on in 10 days.
No, it's not yours, it's definitely mine. When I say it's mine, it's mine. I have my computer in front of me. If it was just your connection, then I wouldn't say that it's my computer. It's my computer. I assure you it's my computer. Alright, so anyway, what I was saying is... Well, I have no idea what I was saying now, actually.
You were talking about Peaches?
Oh, yes. So, she was going to have back surgery, and she did have her back surgery. And then after her back surgery, when she was taking a nap, she was going to wake up, and we were going to get started right after dinner on going through everything so that we could actually do something. And when I got that call, that was the 28th of December of 2019. I got the call that Natalie was missing. I dropped and I hit the floor. Now, there were witnesses to that are recorded. Miss Peaches herself is recorded saying those things and verifying that story. The thing is that she never came forward in court and never tried to make a police report. Nobody ever did. They all kept on telling me they're going to and procrastinating for weeks on end while I am stuck in an environment where I am going to be abused. And the longer I am stuck in this environment, the more likely I am to be abused, the more inevitable it becomes, and the more I'm going to lose because I'm not financially fucking stable. Now then there's the fact that, you know, I had a lot of people that were involved in the situation with helping me to get to Virginia and back, and they never spoke up. And I got evidence that they were involved, but that's the thing, is that they wanted to keep silent. Every single one of them in Nebraska is guilty of felonies at this point because they had only committed misdemeanors. Every single person in Nebraska is a mandated reporter, just so you know. I am an at-risk adult, which means that every mandated reporter that I went to that did not assist me in turning that in, well, they all committed misdemeanors. And when they covered up the fact that they didn't do their jobs, they graduated to felonies. Now, people wanted to be mean, and they wanted to destroy evidence, and they wanted to lie about me and tell all sorts of fucking horrible untruths. And the thing is, when Natalie disappeared, it became hell. Now, I should go back to December, and I'm sorry I didn't do this before. I admitted my worst sins at the very beginning of December. On December 9th, I got a hold of Natalie's mom to try to get help stopping the abuse. On the 12th, I exposed Natalie's dad with an email that she had sent me back in 2016 about him being a chimo and a woman beater. And then, right after I did that, she called me up like the next day, and I could barely remember it, but she'd called me up and said I fucked things up way worse with her family. Well, mind you, by this point, I had made that fake account while I was up seeing Jamie. She's the one that I had rescued and helped to move out when she was, when I was first supposed to go see Natalie in 2016. So I was seeing that lady up in South Dakota and her son, and she wouldn't help me kill myself, but she was going to help me to make an account, and I made that Michelle Brannick account so that I could destroy my account, because Joanna Taylor Smith said if I killed myself, then she was going to make sure that I wasn't going to have Joanna Taylor Smith having all that ammunition to hurt them. Anyway, so I made the Michelle Brannick profile, and it didn't work. They wouldn't let me do it because I didn't have a fucking death certificate. I'm like, this is bullshit. So I did definitely use it. I got a hold of one last fucking chance. The cops hadn't fucking listened to me. Everybody keeps sending me to all this mental health stuff. I did finally get housing, but there I am in housing in a town that fucking sucks, and everybody's fucking hated me since day one. I don't have any friends there, and everybody's either fucking drunk or on drugs. I don't fucking fit in. So, yeah, I was not in a good way. Anyway, I used it to give all three of them, Natalie, Alicia, and Maddie, all three of them got my phone number. And, you know, ever since then, there's been shit where Ted Bollinger and his fucking family, they get onto my fucking Facebook, or get on these Facebook things, or on the YouTube, and they make hundreds of accounts to harass me over and over again. And the ones from before Natalie was killed, I can definitely pin those to the people they belong to. The ones afterward, I mean, how do you expect a person with all this going on to be able to defend themselves and still show the truth? Especially when all the cops have to do is press false charges on me, and I can't turn them in. Or they threaten, harass, and intimidate me, and I'm literally begging all of my friends who are actual witnesses to the situations, please come forward and speak up. No, they're all bitches. Then I have to deal with people like Desiree ripping me off. And, you know, me rescuing her more than once. She sold my fucking evidence.
Oh my God.
Yeah.
That sounds like Desiree.
Yep. Oh, shit. Oh, okay, there it is. Anyway, the situation is that I've been from one end of the country since then. I've had to stay with complete and total strangers or people like Brett Roloff. Now, there's a lot of stuff with Brett Roloff. He was one of the people I planned on visiting on the trip. People tried pretending that I stalked Natalie to Virginia, and then I stalked her in Colorado. Like, fuck, I didn't even know she was in fucking Colorado. What I knew is that her crackhead friends from when she lived in fucking Colorado were making my life a living hell, and I couldn't see any of my loved ones. As an autistic person, that is important. Now, they have done everything that they can to destroy my credit, to eat up every single penny that I have. I can't take care of myself on $840 a month. With all of the assaults and threats that I was receiving in Chapel, Nebraska, the cops, literally, I tried to turn them in. So they literally helped out every single predator that I had. Nebraska State Patrol kept on sending me to Dual County Sheriff's Department to turn in Dual County Sheriff's Department, which is a conflict of interest. And they just kept this shit up, including Leslie Snell, one of the employees there. I've got the recordings that show that I was trying to take them and several of the officers in Natalie's case to court, and also Robert Franklin Warnick, who had assaulted me. But instead of that happening, you know, the cops assisted Robert Franklin Warnick in getting away with his crimes. They pressed false charges on me for the 11th time, had me shipped around to Garden County Jail, where Michelle Quinn was the sheriff, where I was abused like a motherfucker and denied my rights. Then I was shipped to Scotts Bluff, where I was abused like a motherfucker and denied my rights. I've been sent to Scotts Bluff Jail 4 times and been assaulted 3 of those times. Always by the guards. That's the problem with being assaulted by Waylon Lolotai. I was charged with assault against a police officer. Now that happened just a few days after Natalie was killed. I was trying to work with a couple of Natalie's ex-stepmoms, but they were trying to hide what they were doing. They were trying to hide that they were in contact with me. Now, all of those communications between us should have been monitored. There should have been a parent or a guardian or an advocate or the fucking cops who were monitoring the communications that was going on between us. Obviously they did, because they were able to use that information to manipulate me being a good person repeatedly. Like when they played like she was being, alright, she pocket dialed me. Rochelle Shelley Campbell, that's one of Natalie's ex-stepmothers. She pocket dialed me, and it sounded like there was a scuffle. And so I called 911. Officer Michael Beard showed up. I was at Candace Bondurant's, and this is right after Natalie was killed. This is after I was assaulted by Waylon Lolotai, and I'm at Candace Bondurant's to try to get healed up and to try to do stuff on the computer. And, you know, the cops have already taken my computer because they might have needed information on it. And, you know, I'm trying to do everything through a phone, and after the assault by the Boulder police, you know, my phone had a screen lock on it, or a screen overlay. I didn't know how to get rid of it, and it wouldn't let me post anything. It wouldn't let me nothing. Now, ever since then, I've had probably close to 100 people who literally right after offering to help me were blocked. And that happens a shit ton. And people have sent me many messages saying people were threatening to kill them and their family. It's not taken serious, and I keep getting treated like I'm schizophrenic because officers I'm trying to turn in, keep trying to tell hospital staff that I'm schizophrenic. So there's a lady named Marcia Estrada. I'm going to send you the video with her. She talks about Scott DaCosta. She was aware of the harassment against me by Scott DaCosta already, as well as being aware of several other of his victims. She's also aware of Tamara and of all the people that I was going to see, all this mental health crap that I was going to. I went to all these appointments and they cost me all of my money. I had no money to do anything. Meanwhile, I've got no friends in fucking Chapel, Nebraska to hang out with. You know, having to ship around from one place to another because everywhere I go, people hate me because of something I didn't do. And the fact is, yes, it's still going on to this day. It's still global, and that's something that needs to be expressed, is that I am being abused. It's inevitable that I will be abused. I have been abused financially and physically. The 10 types of abuse, I'm pretty sure I sent that to you.
Yeah, I know.
Yep, the 10 types of abuse. If you look at that, I have endured all 10. I've endured every single one of them at the hands of just law enforcement. And that is nationwide. And that's also having to go to small towns where the hospitals, they'll commit felonies. Outright commit felonies. When you try to tell them that a cop fucking abused you, or that one of the locals fucking tried to put drugs in a drink that they gave you and you fucking spit it out, and they're like, well, we found this drug in your system. I'm like, I fucking told you. And what's their job at that point? They're supposed to call the cops, and they're supposed to do something about it because it's literally poisoning.
Yeah.
That's not what they did. They had me call a place, and they said, you need to call this place and set up an appointment within 2 days. Well, I called them immediately. They didn't set up an appointment for 2 days. So then I was told, well, you know, why didn't you go and see them within 2 days like we said? I'm like, they told me they couldn't do shit till December. That's 3 months away. You know?
Wow.
Yeah, so I've got thousands of these recordings. I've also got recordings of lots of people threatening to kill me. I've got recordings of many witnesses to people threatening to kill me. I'm an at-risk adult. With all of the stuff that they did to try to hide it, well, then they're all guilty of conspiracy against an at-risk adult.
Oh, yeah.
So, with a lot of the evidence that I'm going to send you, I'll tell you who they are. Much of the issue that I have is that I'm so far away, just like many of your issues are the same thing. The not having enough money is completely fucking me. People aren't understanding that there's a time limit and a statute of limitations, and that this is chronic and ongoing abuse by law enforcement towards me for being homeless and for speaking out. Now, with me being arrested for assaulting Waylon Lolatai when he assaulted me, and they dropped the charges, it's still on my arrest record, which means that every single police officer sees that, and they treat me with complete disrespect.
Oh, yeah.
So I've got videos here in Tillamook, and also in Hood River, and the Dalles, and Nebraska, and all over the place. Now, when I was not locked up, I've got the evidence that shows that I tell the truth. But they intentionally locked me up repeatedly so they could tell whatever lies they wanted. Oh, it's Sean's word versus ours, and we've got control of the cameras, and we can just call him mentally ill, and the judge won't allow him shit.
Yep. Wow, that's so abusive.
I was literally sent to prison. Those 4 people I was trying to turn in: Leslie Snell, Scott Costa, Robert Warning, and William Barr. Meanwhile, the people who were going to help me with that, they didn't. People never do. Stephanie Mejia, I paid for her to come help me. She showed up, did a bunch of drugs, and had a lot of sex with a guy named Ventus, who was also supposed to help me out. I'd been arrested on false charges again, and literally every time I've broken the law, I've been forced to, because of other people's safety. There's a lot of people who are missing in connection with this. Several of them here in Oregon, and I have been helping to find missing people, especially a lot of the victims here. There's also a lot of people that were involved, that, like Victor King. You know, he's now part of the Boulder Oversight Committee for the police. The problem is that he don't listen for shit. His experience on the streets was being a fucking meth junkie. For me, my experience on the streets was fucking babysitting meth junkies and alcoholics. I was good to everybody. That's why everybody come to me when they had a problem. Well, unless it was violence they were asking for, then they went to Rabbit or Monkey. A lot of the witnesses to the situations are dead, but here's the thing, is that I did my best. I recorded everything that I could, but without somebody going in with me in person and making the calls with me consistently, I was screwed from the beginning. Did I send you my hospital paperwork from November of last year?
I don't think so.
Alright, well, I'll send that to you next. The thing is, the assault here, at the hospital here, that shouldn't have happened. That's a situation that happened because, like I said, people's lives are at stake. Nobody's helping me turn it in. I need help turning in the situation with Claire, and I also need help turning in the situation with several other missing people, and I literally can't do it alone. There's also a lot of body cam footage that I need to get from Hood River before they're allowed to destroy it. And there's body cam footage I need to get from the Dalles before they're allowed to destroy it. I'll also send you a bunch of the footage that I have. There's also a lot of the harassers who keep on making these Sean Schwartz hate things, and it needs to be shown and mentioned that Tillamook has shown themselves to be very biased towards me, and that their help has literally backed me into a corner because I've had to go to them alone, and they have attempted to threaten, harass, or intimidate me at nearly every service because I've had to go in alone.
Yeah.
And I've got evidence of all of it.
Oh,
So when I went to the hospital, because I was having that panic attack, and I explained that all to you as best I could given the circumstances, but the thing is, they weren't interested in finding out what was going on. They were interested in berating me and trying to twist it into something that it ain't. Their protocol when you have to go in alone is different from their protocol when a friend or family member is involved. Because a friend or family member can say, hey, he's not schizophrenic. He's never been schizophrenic. He doesn't show signs of schizophrenic. He's not delusional. He's fucking overwhelmed because he is being abused, and it is over things like this. And then you can show them literally hundreds of these web sleuth sites that do these things. And I get that I've done a lot of really mean things, but they've all been out of necessity because people's lives were at stake. When I was taken to the hospital and I was overwhelmed, there was no reason for them to assault me or to scream and yell at me. I wasn't doing anything to them. And that is never acceptable. The fact that he assaulted me repeatedly on the way out is beyond comprehension. You know what I'm saying? So, one of the things is that I do need help turning that in. And I'll send you a little bit of what was going on. I mean, it was a very messed up situation, and you won't be able to listen to it all today, but you'll have access to it. But the thing is that, like, I've literally been pushed to this point repeatedly. I've been repeatedly denied the right to turn in my predators, and the police, who I've been trying to turn in, have repeatedly assisted my predators in the Bollinger family and their web sleuth buddies. The police have repeatedly helped to force me into prison or jail so that those people can have civil court without me, where they get to have protection orders instead of me. And I don't get to show evidence, and they don't have to show evidence because they already know I can't show up. Two of Natalie's ex-stepmothers, one of the things that they tried to do, and this is a dirty trick, they both tried to get protection orders against me on the same day, at the same time, in two different counties. And I was incarcerated, so I was prevented from going. Meanwhile, I only broke the law because I needed to get that fucking court date because people wouldn't stop threatening to kill me and my friends and family. And I can send you stuff in Chapel, Nebraska from my sister about the sheriff, the cops following her, and people threatening to kill my sister and my niece as early as last year. That was because we were trying to turn in Scott DeCosta for the crimes that he was repeatedly committing. Now, there's also Nebraska State Patrol and the fact that they did everything that they could to gaslight me and refuse to do their jobs from 2018 until even when I got out of prison. The investigator they sent intimidated me. But I still need to have someone call them with me and make sure that something is done. And if they say the statute of limitations is over, you know, the explanation of the fact that I am still enduring this abuse and that it is still ongoing and that I am abused elsewhere over those crimes, that it affects every single aspect of my life and I can't take care of myself because of it, that I am permanently physically and mentally damaged from it and cannot function, and am repeatedly forced to go run around in circles getting absolutely nothing done because I'm cut off from my friends and family. Social isolation is hell. Anyway, I didn't stalk Natalie. Her and her friends stalked me. The things that they asked me to do, I did. And then, of course, when they wanted to pretend I stalked them were doing those things, you get to see the evidence that we were friends during that time. They fucking know. Afterwards, I started using mean words. I said words like cunt and bitch. I was not fucking happy. Having Tim Beeson getting hold of me and telling me that he's gonna fucking he's gonna kill my family and he's gonna do this to my these people and this to my those people, and you know, they continued playing those fucking head games and trying to twist and manipulate anything I said into an excuse to harm me further and pretend that I'm just fucking crazy. The police and the two ex-stepmothers of Natalie Bollingers who got a hold of me and pretended they were going to help, they gaslighted the shit out of me. Then there's Carl Rogers and a bunch of other nut jobs that were involved in this from these web sleuth groups that they claimed they were going to help, but instead all they did was gaslight the fuck out of me. They just looked for when there was an argument and they'd take the other person's side. I'm like, how the fuck does that help? And then they go, oh, well, I sent you some money. So I'm overwhelmed because it's 6 years worth of this stuff. There's so much of it. Everything is too full for me to gain access to every piece of evidence I have. I've got 7 USB drives that are full. I paid my little sister and her buddy $1,800 to help me, plus let them borrow my aerial drone with the camera on it in order to help me out. They didn't help me out. They showed up all fucked up. Her friend wasn't supposed to be there. It needs to be one-on-one so that it doesn't become partying and fucking hanging out. I needed her to take it seriously. But she was all fucked up on drugs. And she brought her friend and all they did was fucking hang out. Then it turned out that the money she needed for insurance, she said Nora told her where this place is for insurance and that's where she went. And then Nora was there and Tara had to explain to Nora where this place was because she had fucking lied about it. What did she need the $400 for? Either more tweaker cams or more meth. Well, this is in Chapel, Nebraska. I was at a guy named Dallas Richmond's house, and I paid a lot of money there. He claimed he was my friend, but the thing is, he never once tried looking at the evidence. Ever. Now, he was able to keep his place because I kept on paying money religiously. But I needed somebody to help me out. Everybody kept asking me, why don't you ask Dallas? Why won't you ask Dallas? I did ask Dallas. The only time Dallas would ever talk about any of that stuff with me is when people at work bitched at him. And then he'd come bitch at me because people at work fucking bitched at him. He didn't give a fuck what was the truth. He cared about what the fucking cunt rags in Chapel, Nebraska thought of him. But also his severe alcoholism and his depression also made it very difficult, and I had to understand that. But did these people try to understand that with me? Meanwhile, he repeatedly needed money for extra things at the very end of it all there, and I understood he needed that extra money, and I gave him that extra money even though I didn't really have it to give because I needed my evidence to be safe. The thing is, there's a lot of stuff he could have spoken up about. Now, there's also Megan Misegatis. I was forced to make an illegal AR-15 in Chapel, Nebraska. And I've been trying to turn it in ever since. Matter of fact, Megan Misegatis helped to make some phone calls so that I could get a room where I would be safe, so that I could safely turn in Scott DaCosta and the other predators in this situation. Well, Scott DaCosta abused his power and had me arrested in a different county by a different agency. And then another agency came in and stole all of my evidence. And then another Chapel, actually, their deputies drove me to Garden County Jail. Then they transferred me to Scotts Bluff. Then they transferred me to Lincoln, or to DEC, and then from DEC to Lincoln Correctional Center, and then back to Scotts Bluff, and then they dropped the charges. Meanwhile, they were able to steal the evidence that I was supposed to be turning in to the Nebraska State Patrol, Scott DaCosta, this is the 11th time that he had committed felonies to prevent me from turning in him or his officers. Megan Misigatis, however, she never came forward about that. I'd been trying to turn in the AR-15 thing since before I ever had to fucking order it. Now, with that guy blackmailing me and saying that it's because I'm fixing people's guns, I have to fix his gun and I gotta fucking turn it into the juiciest, nicest thing ever. Well, it's illegal as fuck. It's got a 22 long rifle conversion that can go in it, easy quick change. It's got a folding butt stock. It's got all the bells and whistles, and I made sure that every one of them was shittily tuned. I don't want that motherfucker being able to use it. The thing is that with what he was asking of me and what he was trying to do, I made sure that I got a paper trail by ordering things with my government direct express card. So the 80% kits that I ordered are on my government express card, my direct express card. Now, I tried to let Megan Misigatis know about this situation, but she was giving bad advice. I need to just ignore it, and I'm like, I'm already in the process of having to build this thing. I will have to build this thing if you do not do something. But she didn't want to do nothing. Well, there's also the situation with me being ripped off from one place to another, not having the money to hire a fucking lawyer, and it doesn't matter without a friend or family member present. So, I had to take that gun and all my gun parts to that room. Now, why is it when they pulled out all the evidence that they wanted, the evidence they wanted to destroy anyway?
Stop for a bit. I'm waiting for the bus. There's so much noise. I can't even hear you. Let me get on the bus and call me back in like a half an hour.
Yes, sir.
I can't hear you. Call me back in a half an hour or so.
All right, be safe.
All right.